What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you, and one that I have been eagerly anticipating because this band occupies some fun, strange territory for me, and it's just a pure joy to listen to generally. So we are going to go over the latest offering from Mutoid Man, Mutants. This comes out on the 28th of July on Sargent House Records. This band formed in 2012 in Brooklyn, New York. This is, I believe, their fourth album, unless you count their debut, Helium Head, as an EP. I don't know, it seems kind of debatable there. I have been a fan since that album. I also love Bleeder, as well as Hormones, which is a fucking fantastic album as well. Now, this is their first album with a lineup shift, and I guess this lineup shift kind of makes them technically a supergroup because this features some pretty notable players. On guitars and vocals, we have Stephen Brodsky of Cave In and a litany of other killer fucking projects. I've been a Cave In fan for years. And we have Ben Kohler on drums from Converge and All Pigs Must Die, and again, a litany of other projects because dude's a solid drummer. But after the departure of their original bassist Nick Cagillo, I'm sorry if I'm screwing up your name, they approached one Jeff Matz of High on Fire as their new bassist, and yeah, I guess that technically makes them a supergroup now because everyone's in some pretty kick-ass bands.
For me personally, I've heard Mutoid Man. I've 100% heard them before, prior to now. However, I guess I really got into them on this record, most notably, after seeing the crazy video for Call of the Void.
I love it.
Which is just an insane video with cyborgs with melting faces, and it's kind of stuck in your brain. And the chorus of that song, too, will be in my brain forever. I will be singing the chorus of that for a long time to come.
Yeah, Gwar levels of goofiness in that music video, but unbelievably catchy song. And that is kind of what Mutoid Man does. And well, what Mutoid Man does is kind of hard to describe. I mean, all right, we have a lot of genre blending rather than bending here. Like, this is kind of a homogenized blend of, let's see, sludge metal, hardcore punk, flat out classic rock.
Yep, regular rock, stoner rock, western rockabilly, math metal.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
And it all centers around, I would say, Steven's ability to craft some of the wildest but catchiest riffs. All the riffs on here, again, like, they're very rooted in, again, all these different styles, but he constantly puts his own little spin on it, whether it is like a whammy bar pull or some unique distortion or phaser effects. I mean, if you listen to Cave In, you know his ability to create these really wild tones and kind of soundscapes, and that is on display here. But with Mutoid Man, it's more fast, more loose, more energetic and bombastic and unpredictable, and that is definitely the appeal of this band.
A prime example of that to me would be the song Broken Glass Ceiling, which the beginning, the very opening riff of that has a very Dimebag influenced riff, kind of circa Reinventing the Steel era. Just these weird, like, melodic notes, but they're all squawked.
Yeah, I really like that about that. I mean, that's, you know, right on display right away in Call of the Void is that opening melody.
Yeah.
It's very squawky and not necessarily like atonal or dissonant, just kind of noisy, but there's a melody there. And that is a thing that appears often on here, where there's definitely a melodic hook, but is kind of made dirty or just kind of unruly for the listener. And again, that kind of adds to the fun.
Yeah, like a heavy sound without being heavy. It's strange to say that, because it's not heavy in the typical tropes of anything that we really cover on Thralls of Metal, but like, it would be a lot heavier if the vocals weren't so like clean and pretty on top of it.
Yeah, Stephen Brodsky has just such an interesting voice, and his vocal phrasing and, I don't know, kind of what he does in here, it kind of complements the strange riffs, because the riffs are kind of all over the place, but very hooky. But he flips from like bluesy crooning to like punk shouts to some flat out giant roars on here. And again, that kind of, it goes with the sort of eclecticness of this album, because you can go from 1 second that's like a ferocious rager, like the end of Broken Glass Ceiling is some of the heaviest stuff on here, as well as Unborn and Memory Hole.
Dude, Unborn is fucking legit.
The riffs on there are just disgustingly heavy. And that's like metal standards, disgustingly heavy. Because I would still say this is a metal band, but it's just one that, I don't know, it kind of just avoids classification. But when they get heavy, like, it is really gnarly. It's, you know, again, that sludge metal sound. And Unborn is the prime example. Probably the heaviest song I think they've done, and honestly, some really cool callbacks to early Cave-In, like Until Your Heart Stops, where it was just noisy, kind of math metal, but hardcore and fucking metalcore mix in there. Like, that album's brilliant, and this one kind of takes like a sludge metal approach to it.
Unborn and Memory Hole too. Memory Hole starts out with this off-time kind of chuggy groove, and it goes throughout the whole song. It gets crazy for a minute, and then it goes back to being off-time, heavy, chuggy, like, but it's still not heavy, I don't think, in the typical sense of being heavy. Like, it is, but it's not, but it is.
It's heavy like Cave-In's heavy, which, I mean, again, that's one of those bands, like, are they a metal band? Are they a rock band? Does it really matter? Because they're really fucking good, but it's kind of that weird territory. You know, the riffs definitely have a metallic edge. There's fierce thrash metal moments on here, especially on Siphon, Frozen Hearts. There's just, you know, that sort of thrashy aggression that pops up, but it switches back to, again, like these weird kind of, I don't know, like they're kind of major chordy and sing-along songs. Like Siren Song. I dare you not to get that stuck in your head. Like, Jammin' Enough, and that chorus is so good.
Yeah, that chorus is almost anthemic. And it's not presented as such either. It's a single track, maybe a double track vocal, but pretty much a single track vocal just singing this big, beautiful fucking spoken word on top of this melody. Like, it's really catchy.
Yeah, fierce Baroness vibes, but even further back, like Thin Lizzy, like, kind of think like Emerald, except, you know, this is about sirens singing. And the last track, Setting Sun, has an absolutely anthemic chorus as well. It's very heartfelt, and I don't know, I just like that. Like, this band is definitely centered more on hooks, I would say, on this album than maybe previous ones, or at least they're just nailing them harder. But again, it's that sort of like fluid creativity and that willingness to just kind of, you know, have fun, play loose, jump around.
Yep. And you can tell they do it too, especially in the song Graveyard Love, which kind of steers away from heavy and almost steers away from the bizarre and just makes it like a straight up desert rock song.
Yeah, I heard like a little bit of like, you know, Reverend Horton Heat in there too. Like, there's some kind of clean, chimey guitars. There's a little bit of rockabilly swagger, and I love how it opens. You know, right into a D beat, big thumping bass line. Like, it's a fun, infectious bass line already, and the guitars haven't even come in. And when they do, like, oh my god, this is just fun.
There's a couple isolated bass moments on that song, on Demons. Yeah. Demons has another great isolated bass section.
Big stomping, you know, bass line.
And why shouldn't they? Jeff's a fuck of a bass player.
Yeah. And he's definitely on display. Like, again, kind of the same thing as Steven in terms of, like, fiddling with the tone a little bit. Occasionally it's kind of matching up with the guitars. Like, there's some, like, phaser effects on them, and, you know, if you like Cave-In, you know they love their guitar effects and like weird dreamy atmosphere. Like, you definitely hear that in the beginning of Setting Sun. But another reason why this band is fantastic and the songs come off as energetic and just catchy as hell, honestly, is Ben's drumming. Ben's drumming is fantastic, and he's not pulling any punches on here. He is fucking drumming like he does for Converge, which, if you have ever seen Converge live, holy shit, that's a maniac.
Yes, he is a maniac, and he's no slouch here. He does play a little bit more reserved, I guess, because it's not Converge. But I mean, he's definitely all over the place. His drum work in the beginning of Frozen Hearts, too.
Dude.
Whew. Nuts. Wild fucking drum work. Like, matches up with the crazy riff patterns, but he's a madman.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like Buddy Rich playing hardcore. Like, his wild fills, the pockets of blast beats, because, I mean, this gets blasty as hell in some sections. Like, Siphon's a fucking barn burner. But I love the off and on switch they do between the, like, kind of main chuggy riff for the verses before it just explodes into, I guess, a pre-chorus and then the just shouted chorus. You know, he just completely goes off, and that makes these songs very driven. Even when he's just kind of sitting in the pocket and just, you know, delivering a solid groove, like, again, Siren Song, like, it's kind of an old school heavy metal gallop. Honestly, it kind of reminded me of something that Spirit Adrift would do. Like just a flat out catchy old school heavy metal song, but with like a unique flair. Like there's a thrashy bridge in it with these descending, arpeggiated melodies. That's a big thing on here too, is these crawling, descending, and ascending melodies. Steven just kind of has fun with riffs.
I mean, it reminds me a lot of Mastodon too, like early Mastodon. Like a great comparison to me would be early Mastodon, but without the harsh vocals. If Mastodon sang kind of like they sing now in early Mastodon, that would be this record.
Yeah, maybe like a little bit faster, because Mastodon definitely had like a little bit more groove and sludge to them. But yeah, no, that's, I think, spot on. And honestly, like kind of like early Baroness too, except not as morose, because the lyrical themes, well, it's kind of as eclectic as the music itself, because you have songs that are clearly like, more fun, like Graveyard Love. Yeah, just read those lyrics. They're pretty hilarious. It's a great love story.
Yep.
But you go into like Memory Hole, and that's clearly a song about, revisionist history, 1984, and sort of like, changing landscapes and, watching people just kind of buy into absolute nonsense. So there's some darker themes on here to balance out the, more, lighthearted nature. Hell, even the opening track is pretty much a call is like, hey man, I know it's bad right now, but resist the call of the void.
Yeah. I like when the songs get heavier, the lyrics get heavier. Like it gets darker as the song gets darker. And that's a fun twist too.
And honestly, on this one, I think there's a little bit more groove to the songs. Like Hormones is a very fast-paced album. Same thing with Bleeder. Like those are just going off a lot. But there's good, solid pockets of groove. There's even songs that kind of stay a little bit slower, like Unborn. Unborn just stays kind of slow and heavy. Like there's some, D-beat spots, but it gets back to that groove often. And I don't know, it kind of just makes them a little bit more listenable, just in terms of like there's more variety in here, because this album is very fast-paced, but dude, like it's just flat out fun as hell. Even in the darker moments, even in the somber reflection at the end of Setting Sun, which is, again, a beautiful song, well constructed. I really like the more stoner metal opening to it. Like dreary desert plains and all that shit. Like a little bit of that High on Fire kind of comes out of that.
Rockin' fucking breakdown that's in there. And I wouldn't call that breakdown heavy either. I would call that a rocker.
Oh yeah, dude. It just takes some riffs and kind of just plays with it. Like he just has fun with riffs.
And you can tell.
Yeah. Like there's not a second on here where I didn't think that this was fun to create. Like you can just kind of feel that energy. And honestly, with all the members, on here, it's kind of like the best bits of all the bands they represent. And makes this an absolutely fantastic, fun listen across the board. As far as negatives on here, I don't really have any. Honestly, I just think they may have made the best Mutoid Man album yet. I think it's hookier. There's a little bit more metal to it, but there's also a lot of everything else that makes this band unique. And I don't have any complaints. The production's fucking amazing. Kurt Ballou, I know it's you.
He doesn't miss.
He doesn't.
So,
yeah. I mean, everything on here is fucking awesome. I love the pace of the album. Yeah, this is an easy 4.5. Might be my closest one to a 5 yet this year. We'll see. I've already jammed it now 4 times. And I'm already able to sing along with songs in here just because, like, they live rent-free in my fucking brain.
The chorus to Call of the Void, dude, that'll never leave my head.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah.
it's in there, and it's gonna be in there until I die.
Yeah. This is just fun, riffy music that is intense, but also just catchy. Like, infectiously catchy. The vocal lines are great. The guitar work is fucking amazing. I don't know, the more that Steven Brodsky puts out, the more I am a fan of him. Just his tones and his strange, eclectic playing. Yeah, this is absolutely incredible. I love all their albums, but I don't know, this one I have a feeling is going to stay with me and probably work its way to the top of the heap as far as, well, at least their albums, which, there's only 4 of them or 3 of them, depending on whether or not you think that first one's an EP. I don't know, it's debatable. But yeah, this is absolutely excellent. If you're a fan of Baroness, Mastodon, We got Crowbar, Converge, Cave-In, duh. Yeah. Fucking check this out. This is an absolute beast of an album.
Yeah, I agree pretty much with everything Nick said. It's a 4.5 for me, too. It's a great listen. It is very catchy. There are tons of earworms all over this. The riffs are amazing in a simplistic but not sort of way. Like, it grooves and it jams, and all the weird, like, squawking things are awesome. First of all, I'm a fan of all the bands that all these dudes are in to begin with. And like Nick said, and like I said earlier, it's the best part of all of those bands, which is really cool. I mean, there's never a dull moment. Even when they slow it down, even when it gets into the Western, like, desert rock song, it's still entertaining. You never know exactly where things are going, but it doesn't matter because each song in its own special, unique way has a memorable and captivating moment that make it pretty much unforgettable. You can definitely tell they were having a good time. Watch the damn video for Call of the Void.
Yeah.
That'll tell you enough.
The Siren Song one's pretty interesting, too.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's animated. It's
of course
weird.
But yeah, just watching everybody have a good time, and like it comes out in the music, and it was fun. It was fun when it was heavy. It was heavy when it was somber. It was great, but it's all unforgettable, and that's what makes a record, to me, in my opinion, a really great record. Is you're gonna be jamming it over and over again because you want to, because so much of it sticks with you, and you're just like, fuck, man, I have to do it again. Yeah, if you're a fan of Mastodon, Cave-In, Converge, Burst, Baroness, The Sword, High and Fire,
yeah,
you're probably really gonna like this. And a Kurt Ballou mix.
Yeah.
Come on. The guy doesn't miss, especially when it comes to bands like these. It sounds great. There's nothing I would change. Go out, pick it up, listen to it, buy some shit, get some merch. Do it, because that's what you should do.
My copy arrives on Monday. I can't wait. Yeah, it's the fun, unpredictable nature of this band that will always draw me to them, and it's the hooks that will fucking keep me there.
Yep.
So, yeah. Excellent shit. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com, which is currently under construction, but our Patreon link is also on our channel. But when the site comes back on, hopefully we will have some shirts to show you. We will definitely alert you when we have them, because we'll do a video, and more than likely a giveaway for one. Last but certainly not least, here we go. Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who continues to show up and support Thralls of Metal. It means the absolute world to us. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. But you all are the ones that keep this entertaining and special to us. And, we love it. we both love it. It's become a huge part of all of our lives, and doing this means the world to us. And we appreciate it more and more knowing it means the world to you. That's weird to say, but thank you for that. No, seriously, thank you all once again, and we will catch you later.